Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you're all well. I just thought I'd give this a mention. It's on for an hour and a half. I'll play a little bit, but obviously I'm not going to play it all. It's on for an hour and a half. It's on the Diary of a CEO and Professor Steve Keen. Um, it's had 7.3 million views in a month. The video is called Financial Crash Expert. In 3 months, we'll enter a famine. If Iran doesn't surrender, it's the end. So this video is a month old at least. And this is saying in 3 months, we'll enter a famine. So that's down to two for definite. Maybe slightly less than that. Could it be about 6 weeks here? You know what I mean? So, yeah, again, I don't think I'd seen this video till now, but I thought I'd give it a mention again. Yet more people, again, apparently a financial expert here. But I've said before, you don't need to be a financial expert to understand economics. Just go and learn it. But they don't teach you it on purpose, so you never know what's fucking around the corner here, to be honest. So, um, yeah, we are very much in the bagwash here. Again, honestly, I can't like the economy. Then I really have mentioned this for quite a while. Like over a year, I've definitely been mentioning the national debt and the ever printing of money and where that ultimately goes. It goes to inflation. It goes to hyperinflation. It goes to the end of the road because you can't just keep printing money forever. And again, we can't. How much money do you think we're going to owe here? Like you're going to 10 trillion, 30 trillion, like America there. You know what I mean? You can't just, everyone in the world just can't owe money. The whole system's collapsing, basically. It was built to collapse from its very inception. It's took over 100 years to collapse, but 100 years ago, it was built to collapse. The whole system's built on debt. It doesn't work. You print money at debt. Again, I've kind of explained all this before how it works, and it doesn't work. It's a fugazi. The rich get richer, the poor get poorer, and ultimately the whole system will collapse. And we're almost there. And again, if we get some big world events like America being attacked there, where I believe the stock market and the Nasdaq and everything is situated in America, well, that's going to send the financial markets into absolute turmoil beyond anything you've ever seen. So everything's going to collapse because the markets might literally collapse. There might be no stock market. There might be no Nasdaq if America goes under. So this will collapse the financial world. Again, sending the economies into absolute turmoil here. Again, very much times nobody's ever seen in the Western world. But it has been, so no, sorry, again, it was seen in Germany, hyperinflation there. Maybe, hold on, I'll see if I can get a quick video on the hyperinflation situation. Hold on. So, just typed in here, Germany, hyperinflation, 1923. Here we go. It is a GCS history short video. It's only on for 3.5 minutes, so we'll go with this, but plenty of things down here on the right. We've got one here of the top 5 worst cases of hyperinflation in history. So again, this has happened. I mean, this is why when you hear of like South African countries and it's like a million whatever for a can of Coke, because the economy's collapsed. Like, yeah, hyperinflation has occurred. So again, it's not an unknown thing. It has happened across the world. So we'll just go with the Germany one, to be honest. Kind of the most famous one, I suppose.
23, and a goods shortage means that prices are rising like crazy. 1923, hyperinflation. When prices rise, this is known as inflation. This means that people need more money to be able to buy the things they need. However, in Germany, government decisions are only making the inflation they are experiencing worse. The problem the government are facing is that between 1919 and 1923, their revenue is only a quarter of what they need. They need money to be able to pay their debts, but unemployment and failing factories mean that they're getting less tax money. Therefore, the government resort to printing more money. In 1923, the government has 300 paper mills and 2,000 printing shops dedicated to printing more banknotes. Initially, this makes it easier to pay reparations. However, overall, this only makes the inflation worse. It creates a spiral where the more prices rise, the more money gets printed, and the more money gets printed, the more prices rise. By 1923, prices are huge. A loaf of bread, which would have cost 1 mark in 1919, costs 100 marks in 1922, and by 1923 costs 200 billion marks. This extreme form of inflation is known as hyperinflation. Normal living in Germany becomes impossible.
Right, you hear that? And everybody hearing that? Let's just go again from the loaf of bread there. This is really what hyperinflation is. It can go ridiculous. So, a loaf of bread cost
1 mark in 1919, costs 100 marks in 1922, and by 1923 costs 200 billion marks.
200 billion marks. So the economy's collapsed due to hyperinflation. The pound, the dollar, the euro, the mark, the individual value of the unit has collapsed. It's not worth anything anymore. It's gone. That's what hyperinflation does. And again, you heard the circumstances as to what causes hyperinflation. And as we've mentioned many a time here, hold on a minute. As we've mentioned many a time here on this channel, the ever-printing of money and the national debt. America there in $39 trillion worth of debt. The UK government currently in about 3.3 trillion. Should load in a moment here, just due to the astronomical number. It takes time here. Oh, here we go. 3.3 trillion. Here is the government printing money like there's no tomorrow. Absolutely no tomorrow here. So inflation is inevitable because of what you're watching here. Hyperinflation is maybe also inevitable because you're watching here. But inflation is absolutely inevitable. Like, there's no other way, two ways about it. If you're going to print money at this rate, again, we've nearly watched a trillion pounds being put onto this debt in the time I've been mentioning it. A trillion. We're only at 3.3, and in the time I've been mentioning it, we've nearly put a trillion on here. So it's escalating, it's getting faster, and ultimately this will result in the devaluation of the pound. And if we get anything big like America and the stock market collapse, complete gone, then this will escalate dramatically, like unbelievably. Again, world trade is done in the dollar. We're linked to America financially, massively, I would imagine. So this is absolute catastrophic economic collapse around the world. Yeah, and what's the number go here? Again, I don't make this up, you know what I mean? The reason I started mentioning this a year ago was because this was always what we were facing. Again, it's inevitable. Like this is what I mean. I understand and know economics. And it is inevitable, like what is coming, because we keep printing all our money and giving it away to foreigners. And again, that's causing division, again, civil war, all part of the plan, all massively part of the plan here. But just on an economic level, we're in the bagwash here. This number means bagwash, and it's not going down. If anybody notices here, it's going up like quite fast here, astronomically. So, yeah, hyperinflation. Again, listen to what you're being told here.
1919 costs 100 marks in 1922, and by 1923 costs 200 billion marks. This extreme form of inflation is known as hyperinflation. Normal living in Germany becomes impossible. People had to carry bundles of money in baskets and even wheelbarrows. Many workers are getting paid twice a day so they can rush out to the shops to buy goods before prices rise again. Some shops are even refusing to take money at all and are going for a system of swapping things. Imports dry up because German marks become worthless against other countries.
Yeah, there's a very famous story. I've mentioned it before. I don't know if this will be in here. But a guy went for a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, and it was 5,000 marks for the cup of coffee. He ordered a second cup of coffee, and when the bill came, it was 12,000 marks. He contested the bill and claimed it should have been 10,000 marks. And the waitress told him, in the time it took him to drink the 2 cups of coffee, the currency had devalued and the coffee price had went up 2,000 marks in the time it took him to drink a cup of coffee. That is hyperinflation. And it's brought on by the never-ending printing of money. But I think we're going to get an economic calamity in the near future here of some kind, which will escalate this into ultimate bagwash. So, yeah, that this is all what happens when you print money forever. Again, and the people who run the country, they know this. You know what I mean? The global elites know this. The Bank of England knows this. Everybody knows this. Just the general public don't know this. So, yeah, that's hyperinflation. It's happened before. Again, it's happened many a time. Here's the top 5 worst cases of it on the channel Endeavour there, if you want to go and have a look. It's catastrophic. It's bagwash. This is why we're telling people to stock up on things. It's not just a matter of it might not be around. It's a matter of it might be unaffordable. Is the other side of the coin here. Now really is the time to stock up on things. You've got a couple of weeks here before we enter the ultimate bagwash, it would seem. And again, it is a kind of an inevitability because we just keep printing money. So we'll move back to the financial expert who the video was about in the first place, but we've kind of explained what's happening and what will happen, and it's not rocket science. It's maths, it's economics, it's maths. And this guy here, again, you don't need to be a financial expert to know all this. I'm not a financial expert. Well, I kind of am, but without having any qualifications and not really giving a fuck about making any money out of anything. You know what I mean? Where are you going to swim with the riches that you found? It's all going to collapse. It's all going to be worthless. It's not going to be worth anything. It's pointless having any of it in the long run here. It's good for now, and use it now, because if you don't, well, forever hold thy peace. Right, let's listen to this.
Scenarios in which the war could end, because Trump is stupid enough to take on what Israel wanted to do, which was destroy Iran, but they've bitten off far more than they can chew. So scenario 1 is Iran destroys the Gulf power infrastructure. I think that's highly likely. And if that happens, then Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Dubai, they all become uninhabitable. And then scenario 2, Iran disables Israel's nukes. I hope that happens, but there's this one, and it scares the shit out of me.
Professor Steve, I have so many questions. What is going on?
So this war is threatening everybody on the planet. And what Trump is doing at the moment is a pump and dump scheme. He's trying to drive up the oil price and exploiting it for his friends and for his own wealth in the process. So people are focusing upon the price of this. But the really important point is this is Strait of Hormuz. So oil, fertilizer, helium, all have to pass through the Strait of Hormuz.
And Iran have blocked that gap.
So they can say you do or do not pass, depending on what your country's attitude towards our country. And it's quite terrifying because 20 to 30% of our fertilizer comes through this point. But if this is not available, the globe has a famine.
Do you think he will send ground troops in?
Yes, I do, but I'd hate to be one of those troops because it's a suicide mission. They've got underground military units of weapons and troops, but we have no idea of the scale.
Trump keeps saying that the war has been won.
Yeah.
What's going on there in your view?
I think he's been fed propaganda to tell him that he's winning the war by his immediate advisors, because you cannot tell a person like that they've made a mistake.
We'll talk about that as well. But you've developed... Professor Stephen, who are you? If you had to sort of distill it down to 3 areas of specialism, what would those be?
History of economic thought, financial instability, so what causes volatility in the economy, and the dynamics of money. And ironically, that makes me a minority in economics because most economists ignore money completely.
It's a strange thing to hear.
It's ridiculous, but it's true.
We'll talk about that as well today. I really want to focus on what's going on in the world right now because I have so many questions. It's all quite confusing.
Extremely.
And understanding the layers of motivation that, you know, Trump has, Iran have, Israel have is...
Well, they're going to talk about all the bollocks here because it's a plan, mate. Again, I don't know about Iran. But I'd imagine it's the same because it's all kind of the plan. But like Russia's in on this, you know what I mean? Like Putin's like not at war with Donald Trump really. Um, yeah, they just pretend again that they send the poor people to war to die there. There's too many people on the planet, lots of reasons. So none of this really applies. Really, it's all a bit of a fugazi. Israel, Strait of Hormuz, fertilizer. See, this is more the important one. Well, the Strait of Hormuz and the fertilizer, I suppose. Let's skip forward here. The why, we know the why, and despite this guy being an expert, he's not telling you the why here. It's the New World Order, and that's the why. So let's move on to this bit.
Dump.
Let's explain the Strait of Hormuz.
Oh, God. Yeah, okay.
As if we had to explain it for 16-year-olds. Because there's been lots of coverage on it, and I think some people have kind of skipped past the importance of the region. Yeah. What is the Strait of Hormuz, and why does it matter?
Well, it's the choke point in the Persian Gulf. To get through, you've got like 21 kilometres. So that's an incredibly narrow gap for ships to pass through. And that means that all the countries that pump not just oil, but fertiliser, helium, all these critical elements for the production system all have to pass through this point. And obviously that's well within reach of any weapons from Iran. So they can say, you do or do not pass, depending on whether we approve or don't approve of your country's attitude towards our country.
You said fertiliser?
Yeah.
Oil and helium?
Yeah, helium.
Where are they coming from?
They're mainly coming from, I think, mainly from the Saudi Arabian side.
Okay.
The Saudi Arabian, like Iran would have the same things, but Iran would keep those for themselves. But Saudi Arabia is the main source of gases and oils which are refined.
There was the world map again. Just skip it back a touch here. As we can see, the map cut here, cut right where Terra del Leso is every time. This is the way we look at the world. And they just happened to cut the map down the international date line, although the international date line's all over the shop, so the map should be all over the shop, but it isn't. They managed to keep that in a straight line, unlike the international date line there, where they managed to delete 3 hours from the map. Again, check that out for yourself. There is a time difference of 3 hours between Little Diomede and Big Diomede, and there should only be about half an hour. So, yeah, but they split the map down the date line, which is just where it happened to be where we deleted the time, and Terra del Leso. I like to point that out every time we look at a map, because Greenland is nowhere near this big either, and is connected to all the northern areas, we believe. So this map is wrong. Again, all the sizes of the countries are wrong. England is nowhere near that big in comparison to fucking anywhere, to be honest. So yeah, the map, but again, we split it down the date line, which is where Terra del Leso is. So let's carry on anyway. Yeah, the Strait of Hormuz, fuck me, I know what the Strait of Hormuz is, mate. You know what I mean? Again, it's all we know all this. Fertilizer. Let's get some fertilizer information in here. Right, hold on. I think it's for the zombies, this, to be honest, because it's fucking layman's terms here. 7.3 million people have viewed it though as well. So the 7.3 million people are thinking that there's going to be a famine here. You need to get ahead of the curve.
Conflict. You can't produce chips anymore, and you can't. Well, you can't produce these chips either because the fertilizer is disappearing.
So you're holding a potato in your hand.
Yeah.
How are potato chips going to be impacted by the war?
Because of fertilizer. If we don't have the fertilizer, we can't grow the potatoes. And it's not just potatoes, it's a whole range of crops. We eat food, okay? We eat this green stuff. It actually starts as brown stuff because the fertilizer is an essential part of growing all the food we eat. And the fertilizer is produced by a process called the Haber-Bosch process, which takes petroleum and nitrogen and fixes them in such a way that you can put this on the field and your plants will grow courtesy of the fertilizer. If we didn't have fertilizer at all, guess how many billion people the planet could actually support?
I don't know.
Between 1 and 2.
And fertilizer comes from this region?
Again, 20 to 30% of our fertilizer comes through that region.
Through the Strait of Hormuz?
Through the Strait of Hormuz.
Where's it coming from?
It's coming again from the same gas field that's producing the helium, produces a side effect of fertilizer, and you need. I'm not a chemist, okay, so I can get these things wrong. But you need sulfuric acid as well as part of these production processes. 20% of the world's fertilizer, helium, sulfuric acid, all pass through that strait. And if you take them away, then you can't make microchips, which is what Korea is suffering from. You can't make fertilizer, which everybody will suffer from. If we lost 20% of the world's fertilizer, we'd lose roughly 20% of the world's food. And it causes a global famine. We've never had this experience before. We've had localized famines. Countries like India have had famines in parts of Africa and so on. But if this is not available, the globe has a famine.
And what's the last tanker you've got down there? There's one more on the floor.
Oh, my God. Okay. Hey, that's pretty good. It was accidental, but that's petroleum, okay? A petroleum tank, obviously empty, 20 litres.
So that's oil?
That's oil.
Oil, okay.
And so if that's what we're losing right now, and people are focusing upon the price of this. But the really important point, and I can bring up one of my own charts here, is the role of energy in production. Because if we don't have energy, we can't produce goods and services. And the link is incredibly tight. This is looking at change in energy and change in gross world product over the last 40 years.
I'll throw this graph on the screen for people that are watching.
So what you've got here is the annual percentage change in gross world product and the annual percentage change in gross energy consumption. And they're virtually lockstep and they're the same magnitude.
So when energy goes up, GDP goes up.
And when energy goes down, GDP goes down. Now, we're losing 20% of the world's liquefied natural gas, a substantial proportion of it's oil as well. We could see a 5 or 10% fall in energy. We will certainly see a 5 or 10% fall in gross world product.
So explain that to me. So where is the oil in this region?
Oh, it's everywhere.
Okay.
I mean, this is one of the accidents of history, that the oil is, a large part is concentrated here and a large part over here and a bit in Russia.
So over here, for people that can't see, you're pointing at Iran, Saudi
Arabia,
Iraq, and then there's a lot in the United States, and there's a lot in Russia.
And you've got some in Russia as well, and there was a small amount, like the North Sea had a substantial amount.
I mean, sorry to interrupt, but I'm sure you all noticed there, he didn't point anywhere near Britain there. So we have no oil. We've seen oil refineries going up left, right and centre around the world, in America, Australia, Russia, Mexico, you name it. So the warnings are very much out there, honestly. Again, I don't know what else we can say here at this point to try and ram home that ultimate bagwash is coming down the road here. Again, we're just sort of in the general bagwash. It's all taking shape. But it's all there to be seen, for me anyway. Again, look at the number here, look at the number. We're about to hit 3 million there. 3.3 trillion, 3.3 trillion, I can't even say the number, it's too fucking big. Yeah, inflation, hyperinflation, but again, it's going to be escalated by what's going on in the background. It'd be bad enough if this was just the scenario, but it isn't. We've got everything going on in the background, which is massively going to affect this. Again, if America is attacked, then the stock market falls. You've got catastrophic bagwash, possibly hyperinflation. So the warnings are really out. I'll play a bit more because it's all real. You need to really understand what you're being told here. You know what I mean? There's going to be no oil. There's going to be no fertilizer. There's going to be no food. It's all a knock-on effect. There's going to be a famine. Again, we've never experienced times like these. These times have been experienced in the world many a time, to be honest. But for us here in Britain, and even probably in America there as well, and Europe possibly, in our lifetimes, we have never experienced anything like what's coming down the road here. And this is why people like me not only learned all this information, but are trying to help you here. We're trying to warn you of the coming days and not to get caught short, and be prepared because, well, look what you're being told here, you know what I mean? Not my words, the words of Top Gear magazine. Though I have been telling you for over a year here.
Out of oil as well at one stage.
And the type of oil in this region, I hear, is quite important.
It's very, I mean, oil, there's no such thing as a homogeneous product.
What does homogeneous mean?
I mean, everything is the same everywhere. You can, If you don't get it here, you can substitute from something over here. That's a myth that economists actually, unfortunately, believe. They basically persuade people to think that everything is homogeneous. In fact, oil from Venezuela is almost like tar. Oil from here flows like water comparatively. You need different processing systems to extract that oil than you need over here. If we lose this, we can't replace it with something from over here. So once that goes, then the production system of the planet is damaged.
This has been the shocking thing for me as a citizen, has been the fact that a war with one country could decapitate, 20 to 30%
of global production.
Of global production of oil.
Yeah. And food.
That's a vulnerability if I've ever heard one.
I know. And this is like one reason I'm a critic of mainstream economics is they trivialize all this stuff. They don't teach their students how critical this is. So most people are like you, even people who've done a PhD in economics, even worse in that sense than other people.
Yeah, and you haven't got a fucking clue what's going on. I mean, honestly, they're brilliant in it. These people, some people have done fucking degrees in economics. I've never fucking learned. I've never went to a class once and learned anything about economics. I taught myself economics and fully understand it. I haven't explained it to you, and in real time, everything I've kind of explained keeps happening. You know what I mean? Inflation, prices are going to get more. It can only get worse. Hyperinflation might occur, but it will take a catastrophic event to escalate hyperinflation. So, I mean, you're hearing it from the guy himself here. Like, loads of people have been to fucking got degrees in economics, and they don't have a fucking clue what's happening because they don't really teach you economics. Because if you if you knew it, you'd understand that the whole system's a fugazi. It's all bullshit. Money's worth nothing. It's all bits of plastic. And it has no real value in the first place. It only has the value they tell us it has. But they're about to tell us it has no value, is kind of the point of this. So you need to buy what you're going to buy before all this currency is dead, basically. And it is dying. That's what's happening right here, right now. It's dying. The currency is dying. The economy is dying. The system is dying. And eventually it will die. And when it does, what you own and what you have is probably what you've got. You know what I mean? So, again, this is why we're saying to stock up on things. Again, he's talking about shortages as well, famine, shortages, but we're talking on two levels here. Prices, again, get it before it goes up in price as well. Never mind before it goes, there's the shortage. So, the warnings are definitely out there. Again, if you're not taking heed at this point, then, well, you're a fucking idiot, to be honest. And an important thing to remember, it doesn't matter who you elect into government there. None of them can fix this problem.
They don't understand how critical and how fragile our production systems are. So people can talk about a war in Iraq and think, oh, that's a war in Iran and that's going to cut off our oil supply. No, it's going to cut off your food supply.
And for the average person listening now, what will they start to experience if this war doesn't immediately end?
2 or 3 months, India is going to run out of fertilizer. And so there'll be a famine in India. Food production on the planet could fall 10, 25%. And therefore, there simply won't be enough food for everyone on the planet. And then it's a question of who's going to starve. Now, you'd think the wealthy countries are going to be safe. They're like for Australia, my old home country, has about 30 days oil supply. When it runs out, it can't get food from the farm to the city anymore. So Australia is incredibly vulnerable. We're all far more vulnerable than we realise, and this war is threatening everybody on the planet.
I got in an Uber yesterday and I was with a wonderful guy who was actually, weirdly, I sat into the Uber at 2 a.m. and I looked up on the screen and he was listening to the Diary of a CEO, and then he clocked me in the back of the car, so we had a great chat.
Yeah.
And he was saying to me, listen, this isn't actually my main job, it's my third job. I do this because of the cost of living. And it really stayed with me.
He's doing 3 jobs to stay alive, yeah.
3 jobs, and he picked me up at 2 a.m. He's got a family.
And he's working his butt off to keep the family alive.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say something which I probably I don't say a lot, which came to mind, which is in the position I'm in now. I think it was a real reminder of my own personal privilege that I think is really important for someone like me that has an interview show, because you've got to be like intellectually honest with yourself, or just like honest with yourself generally, that like as someone in my position who has been fortunate enough to
Yeah, you've been lucky, mate. But all this again, there's no future. Again, that these people don't understand. It's like I keep saying, I'm not bothered about this YouTube channel at all. You know what I mean? This, to be honest, I think my YouTube channel will be gone in 2 months' time. Here, if events take the turns that they're going to take here, my YouTube channel could be gone in 2 months here. And there's no future in this. I'm not bothered about being monetized or anything at all. Again, where you're going to swim with the riches that you found here. The money here is becoming worthless. It's pointless. There's no point in hoarding any money here. It's going nowhere. So, yeah, like ultimately, there's no future in all of this in the New World Order. Again, in World War III, again, there might be no internet. Nobody's factoring that in. Again, with no power and of all this other stuff, there might be no internet. Yeah, like again, honestly, the times that are coming, everybody's been kind of hooked on things as well, like the internet. And when you pull the rug from underneath everybody, on every level. So people who get prescription drugs, like what if all that breaks down and you can't get your prescription drugs anymore, or drug addicts in general, like, you know what I mean? They're about to pull the rug from underneath everybody on every level, and all you're going to get is fucking chaos, right? And catastrophe and possibly civil war. You'll definitely get civil unrest here. So ultimately, there is no real future in any of this, and he's been very lucky. But he should listen to the guy who's just done the interview here and spend the money that he's got preparing, because the money that he's got is going to be worthless in the end of the show here. And not even the end of the show, to be honest, just well, definitely in 3 years, but it might take a catastrophic turn this year. That's the beauty of it. Again, if things transpire in America, it will take a catastrophic turn this year due to the financial collapse of the markets, etc. So, and again, this guy's saying 3 months, and this was over a month old, so we're like 2 months away here. The warnings are definitely out there. Do wars widen the gap between probably the rich and poor? Yes. What happens? I don't know what the question is. The fallout. So I'm not going to play anymore, to be honest. I think we've made the point here. The money's fugazi. It's fiat. It's going to be worthless. Spend it now if you've got it by buying food before food goes up in price. And there's going to be a famine and petrol shortages coming down the road here. It's kind of inevitable because the Strait of Hormuz is still blocked. Oil refineries are going up all over the world. As the guy explained there, not all oil is the same, so you need different refineries for different oil. These things are all going up on fire. I mean, there's ultimate bagwash coming down the road here. It's kind of inevitable. So yet again, buy food now. You've got honestly, I think you've got about 6 to 7 weeks here to buy food before it either isn't there or costs a lot more. Again, this could depend on what country you're in. He mentioned India there. Again, India and Pakistan and Bangladesh are massively overpopulated. This is a depopulation plan. So they're going to be hit catastrophically. Honestly, people will be dying in the streets of famine in India and Pakistan and Bangladesh. I can guarantee it, and many other countries as well, to be honest. So we don't plant food locally anymore. It's all transported all over the world. That's been done on purpose so that the whole system breaks down, because it didn't need to if we kept everything locally, but we've purposely not done that, so the whole system breaks down. So the warnings are coming. I mean, well, the warnings are out there, and they've been out there. This video is over a month old here. We've missed it. We're running out of time. Although we already knew, and the warnings have been in the Bagwash News there for, I think the Bagwash News now has been running for over 2 months, and the warnings are out there. I'll leave it there. Peace.